lyrics.
Oh, they're written here. You want me to just tell you? You want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
I need a placeholder for her, Power 200.
Yep.
And then 418 is Seed.
Okay.
And then 403 is Mama.
403, yep.
Yep, and then break 2 is 415 Sisters.
Yep.
416 Benchmark.
Yep.
410 Sprout.
Yep.
And then break 3, 419 KKs.
What was that, 413?
419
19, okay.
KKs.
Yep.
Break 3, sorry.
Yep.
And 417 Shackley.
Okay.
Hold on a second. And then,
Just 2 on the last break?
yeah.
Okay.
And then I put my intro at 12:57 because we want to play some of my song.
Yeah, the outro.
I don't have to play the whole song.
Yeah, of course.
The song's 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you just get like 2.5 minutes in there or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You put the whole thing in there and then they just fade it when they have to.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yeah, so, but you guys aren't going to hear that at the end because of the recording, right?
Yeah, but you know what the other thing is?
What?
All these songs that I'm playing,
Yeah.
I think they're not allowed at community TV.
Okay, so
But
are you going to...
I'm just doing it. And
Okay.
guess what?
They
I
can-
might have to bypass community television at some point if they don't allow it because I'm not going to change.
Because the rights, you don't have the rights to use them.
Yeah, but we
That-
do.
You do.
Yeah.
You have on right because
But
the radio
I'm-
station.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever.
Hey.
Someday I might have to just buy my own camera and
So do
skip
you-
them all together. But
So
whatever.
do you want me to fade the music under you guys then? Because you already have music in there?
I rather you when you come from the commercial,
Yeah.
kick that song out right at the regular level,
Oh, yeah.
and then
then-
where I put fade. Oh, sorry, I got to give you the fades.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. So the first
so-
break is fade. I'm not ready to make nice.
Yeah, fade out at 122.
Fade 122. Do you want me to try to do like quick fades for our Pack TV, or do you want me to fade them slowly?
Quick is fine.
Okay.
Jesse did a quick fade, but then you could still hear it under my words a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not going to worry about Pack TV, honestly.
Okay.
And Time for Me to Fly is 102.
102.
Ish, you know.
Okay.
It was just what I thought.
Yep.
And then Beautiful Mess is 115.
Fade at 115. Okie dokie.
All right. Are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys ready?
I think so.
I didn't do lipstick, but
I know. I didn't.
you got beautiful lips.
You look gorgeous.
Stop saying that.
Oh, the music's still
Stop
on.
saying that. I'm old enough to be your mother, remember?
You can't take a compliment from me, Nicole.
I can, but you got to please don't do it in front of my husband.
Your husband's not here.
I know, but you've said it a couple of times now. Let's let it go. We were joking about it the other night
my
at an
goodness.
event.
I love it when people compliment
My
my wife.
husband is extreme. You know what I call him now at home? He's my bouncer. No, he's my bodyguard is what I call him.
Your bodyguard.
He's my bodyguard. He's my bodyguard.
I'm 23.
That's what he acted like when he showed up at the Mirabeau restaurant looking for me. He looked like a freaking bodyguard. But God bless
my
him, he
goodness.
still wants me around, so.
Yep, there we go.
There we go.
All right. So
Okay.
ready to go?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Here.
Should I
we
be
go.
leaning forward or?
Yeah, I kind of get dialed in. And you know what? I think I might want to put my coat back on.
Okay.
I'm so short. It's not gonna help at all.
If I can get it on without tearing anything. All right, there we go. I'm ready.
Okay.
All right,
Test,
here
test,
we-
test,
here we
test,
go.
Ooh,
test.
as long as I don't get hot.
No comment, Nicole. No comment.
I was waiting for it.
I didn't say anything when you said you were going to get hot.
I was hot years ago.
All
Okay.
right. Here we go.
Okay.
Teddy's out front. Winter
My bad.
tire sale
That was-
is today.
The wrong code. There it is. Okay. Here we go.
Good afternoon. afternoon, and welcome to WATD's Powerful Women Revealed. You're invited to enjoy an ongoing series of uplifting, educational, and intimate discussions with local, powerful women that have all made the commitment to take their businesses and organizations to a higher level. These entrepreneurs have turned their dreams into reality. They work hard, outshine, and they mean business. These women reveal and share their inspirations, milestones, and successes with your host, Nicole Perry.
And welcome to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and today we're talking about relationships. My guest is Amy Martell, and she is the owner of Whole Family Law in Marshfield, Mass., which is actually she's a holistic lawyer. She specializes in mediation and collaborative law, including divorce, custody conflicts, and marital mediation, and she basically helps families resolve or prevent their disputes respectfully and out of the courtroom. Amy Martell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. This is very exciting.
And we are partnering together. So I am helping promote you for the next year, and you are supporting Powerful Women Revealed.
It's such a pleasure to support Powerful because I love what you do. I love your message. I love your guests. You've got a fantastic community.
you.
So it's great to be a part of what you do.
Thank you. And so you are located in Marshfield.
I am.
When did you first open your practice?
So I opened my practice in 2011. That was down on Snow Road, and then I moved over pretty close to us here at WATD.
Yes.
Off of Enterprise Drive. So I've been in Marshfield actually since 2009. I was first working with another attorney, and then I opened up my own practice.
Yeah, you weren't there very long, were you?
No, but we knew that going into it. So,
okay.
and she's still my business partner in my building. She's one of my
okay.
closest friends in the whole world, Jennifer DeGregorio. She's wonderful.
Okay.
So, but we knew going into our relationship that it was a launching point.
Okay.
And so it's been mutually beneficial, and we still, work with each other and side by side.
Okay, now when did you realize that the courtroom litigation was really not your cup of tea?
I never thought the courtroom litigation was ever going to be my cup of tea.
Okay.
So I didn't go to law school ever thinking that I was going to be a courtroom lawyer. In fact, I never really thought that I was going to be a practicing attorney. I went to law school in my 30s after having been a music therapist and a music educator for about a little bit more than 10 years. And I went to law school after taking a break from being a music therapist and kind of evaluating what was my next step. I had always felt like I wanted to do policy work for the kids that I had been working with as a music therapist. And so I was evaluating what direction, what would I need to do to kind of dig in a little bit more to do that. Right. So I kind of took some time off. I actually worked as a bartender at Number 9 Park up in Boston, right near the Capitol. Talked with a lot of people up there, and they kept saying, "Go to law school, go to law school." And I thought that's the worst thing in the world. I don't want to go to law school, but I went to law school, and I loved law school actually. I had the benefit of going to law school in my 30s when I had a kid. I had a second child during law school, so I didn't get caught up in all of it.
It was a different experience when you're older.
Exactly. I knew what I was there for. And while I was in my first year of law school was when I was introduced to mediation. And then all of a sudden everything clicked. Okay, everything that I've been through, everything that I've worked on as a music therapist in terms of listening, intuitive being with other people, and the problem solving, how can I work to help people create change in their life and also create systemic change. It kind of all came together.
So that's how your musical therapy sort of helped play, or does help play a role still to this day.
Oh, absolutely. No, everything that I do revolves around listening, and listening at a very deep level, listening both to how people breathe, how they look at me. There's a
body
musicality,
language, everything.
There's a whole music. In fact, I've actually have been training lawyers how to use embodied listening as lawyers, as mediators, and to be able to work with that and train with the people that they work with and respond to people so that the people that they're working with can feel that kind of connection.
Okay, and what do you belong to? I didn't even put that in my notes here. You belong to a couple of different councils or something.
Oh, yeah, so Massachusetts Collaborative Law Council. I'm on the board of the Massachusetts Collaborative Law, and that's the statewide organization of collaborative attorneys, and we do educational programs and help educate the community about why choosing collaborative law could be beneficial for them. I'm also on the board. Could be. I'm also on the board of the Mass Council of Family Mediators.
Okay.
And then I'm part of the Plymouth County Bar Association. I'm part of, numerous other bar associations and organizations around the area.
Now, you never thought you would be a lawyer. We
thought.
are hoping that we'll have a lawyer in our family.
Right.
Got 4 kids. I'm hoping one out of them will probably be a lawyer someday.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's best to keep those divorce situations out of the courtroom?
Well, it's you know what it is divorce. The reason that we're in the courtroom to begin with for divorce is because historically you had to file a complaint and you had to prove fault in order to obtain a divorce. And so there was a burden of proof on the person who wanted a divorce that there had been some fault on the other party. And so we got locked into that system, but we don't have that requirement anymore. It's now we are no fault system, irretrievable breakdown of the marriage, but we're still locked into this adversarial mindset. And realistically, when you're in a family, we now kind of accept, for better or for worse, not making a comment about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we accept that relationships change, that people do not necessarily have to stay married for their whole lives, but we still have families that we want to take care of. We still have financial commitments that we've made. And so if we can approach it as, how can we help this family transition, rather than me fighting against you, my person who's going to become my former spouse, for everything that you're worth. It doesn't have to be a battle.
Yeah, and it's not about winning.
It can't be about winning, because even when it is about winning, nobody ever really wins.
Yes.
In family court, it's a hollow win, if anything.
Yeah. Now, I was married at a very young age, 18. So I am divorced, but mine was like not a no fault. Mine was a uncontested.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Well,
Okay.
no fault.
We had no children. We had no home. We had not really a whole lot of history in the marriage. It was a very brief marriage. So, back then, you're talking, I was 18, so we could do the math. But, back then, that's a long time ago, I just left and took the car, and he took the other car, and that was it. But now today, so many families have children involved, properties involved, things like that. So the majority of them are not no fault.
It's not that they're no fault.
Or uncontested.
They're uncontested. So no fault is kind of a term of art, like it's a statute. There still can be uncontested, even if somebody is at fault. For instance, even if somebody actually has done something wrong.
Okay.
Let's say they have met somebody else, they have had an affair, they have done something that has been hurtful. That can still be a no-fault divorce under the statutory language. But
really?
We don't have to prove, for instance, that there's been abandonment. You don't have to prove that there's necessarily been some sort of level of fault.
Okay.
To go forward in a court system. But you had talked about, why should you not litigate? You had just mentioned about kids involved. And the reason that for so many people staying out of court is important is because they do have those children.
Yeah.
And they have to co-parent those children for the rest of the kids' lives.
And that's just painful. Because you're fighting.
Yeah.
You're not really collaborating. You're just fighting to see who's going to win the most.
Yeah.
And the kids are in the middle of everything.
Well, and you're led down. Inevitably what happens, and I should clarify, there are some situations where people have to go to court. There's some situations where people need the protections that court offers, whether it's the financial protections that the court offers, the physical protections because somebody's safety is threatened, or because somebody's... So there are situations where litigation, where court involvement is important.
Or necessary.
Or necessary. But I think the majority of people who are in the court system probably didn't have to be there. They just didn't necessarily know that there were alternatives.
There you go. And litigation can be a lot more expensive.
Oh my God, almost always. I feel like even when people are working very hard to settle their case with attorneys, it's almost always more expensive than
Is it
mediation.
because they're just going round and round?
Sometimes it's because they're going round and round. Sometimes it's because the emotional things are confounded with the logistical issues that need to be decided. What's going to happen with the finances? What's going to happen with the children? All of the history and the other conversations, the anger, the disappointment, the history of the couple, the things that were not working for them before they got to the point where they wanted to get divorced. All those things get confounded. The other thing is just the telephone tag that kind of sometimes happens. Like, like when you played the game, operator, please help me, right? So one client calls their lawyer, says
Yes.
blah, 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 blah. Then the lawyer calls the other lawyer. Then the other lawyer calls the client. That calls the other client. And they go back and forth. So if you can think about it.
How many times they do that, you're paying for that.
You're paying a lot of money every single time. It's like you're paying double. So if either you can have, if people need attorneys, so this is what the collaborative law model offers, the attorneys and the clients are sitting in the room at the same time, hearing everything at the same time.
Yes.
And the focus of the attorneys is on how do we help these clients transition gracefully, work together, think about what their core interests are, what's most important to them, and it's all being said at the same time.
And they're also, you're seeing everyone's body language.
Exactly.
So you really get the ideal situation to see, hear, all of it.
Yeah.
Because most of it's in the body language, right? We don't even hear the words that are coming out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do have to go to break.
Okay.
So I hope you'll stay with us. My guest is Amy Martell, and she is the founder and owner of Whole Family Law. You can find her at wholefamilylaw.com. Hope you'll stay with us. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed right here on 95.9 WATD.
not sure I could. They say time heals everything, but I'm still waiting. I'm through with doubt. There's nothing left for me to figure out. I've paid a price, and I'll keep paying. I'm not ready to make nice. I'm not ready to back down. I'm still mad as hell, and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to make it right. I probably wouldn't if I could, 'cause I'm mad as hell, can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
And we are back. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and my guest is Amy Martell, and she is with Whole Family Law and Mediation. And I kind of wanted to know, I love that song.
It's such a great song.
It's such, and it's a powerful song, but it makes me smile because she just stands up for her rights, you know? What is the difference? Because sometimes it's too late. To make it right, and divorce is the only option. So we're not advocating it, but we're saying if you are in a situation, you know, there are choices.
Yeah.
What is the difference between collaborative law and mediation?
That's a great question. So they in many ways they're similar. They're similar in that they both are processes that work to keep people who are in conflict out of court.
Okay.
So both processes work to help people focus on what their core interests are, what what's really important to them and how can they come up with an agreement that works for everybody. It's ultimately a workable and reasonable agreement for everybody. In mediation, most people are working with one mediator, at least in this process. Not always, but in Massachusetts, the family law model tends to be. Actually, it's not exclusively, but a mediator or two mediators are in the room with the clients. The job of the mediator is not to represent either client. In fact, the mediator can't represent either client on their own. So when I'm working as a mediator, I am not representing either person. I am not advocating their positions. I am not telling either person what they should or shouldn't do.
How the heck do you do that?
So, it's actually really. It's actually a
easy process.
It's different. My job there, I say, is I'm there to Sherpa them through the process. So I'm there to help them know how to get from point A to point B, to hold some of their baggage as they go along the way, and I do that by helping them listen to each other, helping to create a space that's conducive to having those conversations.
Yeah.
So just being there as a physical presence, I say I'm the third leg of the milking stool. I create a little bit of stability so that they can have those conversations. I can provide information to them, but ultimately the decision is in their court. So they can make those decisions.
I would love to be a fly on the wall because I feel like the way that you're phrasing things is I'm sure it's articulated, it's very strategic on how you phrase it because you can't be pulling on either side.
Exactly. The language is so important. And go ahead. And in collaborative law, do you want me to?
Yes.
So in collaborative law, the focus is similar in that you're working to help people come to an agreement. But each person is represented by a collaboratively trained attorney, and it's actually a formal form of a process.
So you actually communicate with the attorney on either side.
Nope. Actually, if I were working as in that process in a different way, when I'm in a collaborative law case, I'm actually the attorney. So I am representing one of the clients. And there's another collaborative attorney who's representing the other client, and we as a team are working together to help the two of them come to a resolution. So rather than me being a bully mouthpiece saying, here's what my client says they want, I'm going to do everything I can and strategically create a case to get them what they want. Instead, my job is to facilitate this for them, help understand why do they want what they want, why does the other person want what they want, and how can we help them figure out how to do it together and come to an agreement together. And so the attorneys are in the room with the clients during all the negotiations, and it's actually there's actually a very structured process, and it involves actually a neutral coach who does sit and facilitate the process. So it's similar in its quality, but it's a very different structure. And in some ways, it's there to provide the guidance and the support for people who want to have an attorney in the room, but still want to stay focused on a resolution that's cooperative and respectful and out of court.
And a resolution that comes a lot quicker.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
How much faster does everything happen when you go through a mediator?
Oh my gosh. I've had cases where people come in to see me and they're finished with me 2 weeks later. Easily.
Wow.
Because, they come in, they some people who know what they want already. And I've had so many clients who say, gosh, we've been separated for 3 or 4 years. We've done a lot of the work. We know what we want. We just need somebody to help us through the thing, to help us through the issues. Or some people who for whatever reason, need even a little bit of assistance just to even figure out what it is that they want. But they still can work with me very, very quickly. I can get all the documents done. As a mediator, what I can do, even though I don't advise either person, because I'm a lawyer, I can still create all the documents that they need to file. So I can generate all of those documents. I always recommend they still have an attorney review those documents so they can hire their own attorneys. And we have a wonderful network of other attorneys in our area who are collaboratively oriented. So other attorneys who can review that for people and keep them still out of court. Keep it still efficient, affordable, all that piece.
Now, what do generally people not understand, or what are they not aware of when it comes to actual courtroom litigation and specifically how decisions are made?
Oh, there's two things. So one, people don't realize that people go into court thinking that the way that the judge is going to hear the facts, once the judge hears all the facts, they're going to see it the same way they will. So people think as long as I get my perspective aired, the judge is going to see my point, and that doesn't happen all the time.
Oh, why? because it's not the law,
because
and it's not.
The judge is working on so many different levels in terms of what he or she is going to intuit and interpret and understand from the facts that are put in front of them. They're using so many levels of information. They're using the law. They're using their history. They're using what they're seeing happening on the courtroom floor. They're using the information that they're getting. And so the way that one, even if they hear the same facts, sometimes two different judges will make two different decisions. So it's not a science in like, you plug it in and you get this particular result. The other thing that people don't realize, it's crazy making. As a lawyer, you never know. You can say, well, I think you have a very strong case, and here's why. And when we go into court, we don't know exactly what is going to happen.
And you have no control over what judge you get.
Nope.
Lawyers can't avoid.
No,
there's little tricks.
Nope, there's very specific procedures in place to prevent that. So you get the benefit of controlling the time. You had mentioned the timing of how long it takes you to make these decisions. It's all on the clients, and you get the benefit of controlling what the outcome is. And sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So,
and you keep your dignity and your integrity by the end of it.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's not easy. I always say to people, this is not kumbaya. You don't have to be in agreement. I've had people who don't like each other at all, and they can still sit together and roll up their sleeves and come up with a resolution that works for them.
Okay. Well, we got to go to a quick
Okay.
break. This is going to go by fast. My guest is Amy Martell, Whole Family Law and Mediation, and you can go find her at wholefamilylaw.com. I hope you'll stay with us. I'm Nicole Perry, and you're listening to Powerful Women Revealed right here on 95.9 WATD.
I've swallowed my pride for you, lived a life for you, but you still make me feel like a thief. You got me stealing your love away, 'cause you never give it. Peeling the years away, and we can't relive it. Oh, I make you laugh, and you make me cry. I believe it's time for me to fly.
And welcome back. You are listening to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry. My guest is Amy Martell, and you can find her at wholefamilylaw.com. And I used to love that song, but then I realized it was a negative song about people breaking up.
Well,
and it confused me because he says, you make me laugh. So I'm thinking, I make you cry, blah, 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 whatever. But it's such a great song.
It's a great song.
So some people can't relive it.
Yep.
They can't deal with it. They've got to move on. How do you handle very difficult situations when you've got a couple in front of you that sort of start to
Start, yes.
unleashing some of that stuff in front of you?
It's so dependent on the people. I mean, I spend a lot of time when I'm getting to know people at the beginning of a case to really kind of hear what it is that sets them off. How do they respond well to me? What are things that I can do?
Setting boundaries? Do you set boundaries?
You know what? I am not somebody who necessarily sets boundaries because everybody's got their own things that work for them. So, there's some people that cross-talk all the time. They need to talk on top of the other person, and that's okay for them. So I don't say anything like that.
Yeah.
But one of the questions that I'll ask people when they start kind of spinning off into the story is this really the conversation that you guys want to be having right now? And almost always they're like, no, we've done this one a lot of times. It's not going to go anywhere differently.
We've rehashed this over and over.
So that's, I use my whole body when I'm sitting there with people. So
it's about energy.
It's always about energy and breathing with people. I use a lot of this, what I call embodied listening. So I'm listening to the tone of their voice. I'm listening to where it's projecting from their body. I'm using eye contact. I'm using the physical gestures in terms of me leaning in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to have people move into separate rooms, and I tell people that might happen at the beginning, and I want to keep people, help people not rehash the same narrative. We all have a story that we tell about the world around us, and sometimes we need to be able to understand how that story is getting in the way.
And you're a mediator.
And that's what
You're a mediator. It's what you do.
That's what I do. So I help people hear the other story.
And so people really listen to you, right? I can imagine if you were mediating me with anybody else, I would be listening to you. I would be paying attention. I would be a good doobie. I would do whatever you say.
Well, but I'm not telling people what they should do. But I do a lot of asking questions.
Yes.
So mediators ask lots and lots of questions, and the way that we ask questions is really important. So we ask a combination of open-ended questions. Well, what do you think about this? Why? Who? Where?
Yeah.
And then close. Well, is this why you did this? Blah blah blah. To get an answer. Or
Yes.
So you're choosing when you're asking those questions at very specific times.
And it's a puzzle you're just piecing together.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about over the break about some people in court. They want to just have their what's the phrase?
Their
story.
They
in
want to have
court,
their day in court. They want to tell their story.
and
right.
they want their voice to be heard.
Yep, and they
But
want
it's
that other
almost-
person to be punished for it.
Well, okay, and that too.
Yeah.
But as a mediator, you're really giving them a voice by
You-
structuring the conversation.
You can, absolutely. There's always an opportunity to really get, and sometimes also not only what people think they want to say, but what really needs to be said.
Yeah.
So there's beautiful opportunities in
about
mediation.
intention.
Yeah, there's beautiful opportunities for apology. And in collaborative law, sometimes even more because that process is facilitated by a mental health practitioner. So sometimes there's even more of an opportunity in that kind of a process for really, really difficult things to be said and facilitated and kind of artfully managed by all the team of the professionals who are there to help people get through it.
There's your music background, artfully managed, which I love. Now, there's lots of different things that happen when children are involved.
Yeah.
And you have this great orange and zest story, and it's a great analogy. And you didn't want to do it, but it's such a visual, and it really is a really simple explanation.
Yeah.
So what is the orange story?
So the orange story kind of explains what mediation is and what interest-based, when you're focusing on interests and the core concerns people have.
Okay.
So it's two kids are sitting there fighting over an orange, the last orange in the house. Parent comes in, sees them fighting. What's the parent going to do? Parent's going to cut it in half, right? Give each kid half. That's what we think.
Yes.
That's what's fair. Fair is a four-letter word. Fair is not fair, generally.
Yes.
So both kids are upset. The parent says, why are you both upset? I gave you half. That's what I could do. There's no other oranges in the room. But what the parent didn't realize, because they didn't ask other questions, is that one child wanted the orange just to eat the orange and get all the juice out of it and everything. But the other child needed the whole orange for the zest to make a pie. And half an orange wasn't going to give him enough zest for that pie.
Yeah.
So if the parent had asked a couple of other questions and listened differently, there was an option for resolution that would have helped both kids feel whole. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing in mediation. That's what we're doing in collaborative law. Are there options that are going to get the maximum result for each person?
The maximum result. Really, and the maximum result. I mean, a lot of people are going to have to downsize.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to split one house and then go into two. Yeah. And that doesn't happen that quickly.
Well, no, and you mentioned kids. So like people come into to mediation all the time. I want 50% custody. I want 50 and when you dig in a little bit, what they really want is they're sad. There's a loss that's that's involved.
Yeah.
When you're separating and you're not going to see your kids and kiss them to go to bed every night, it's hard and it's sad, and people can't think when they're stressed. Our brains don't work well when we're stressed, when we're confronted with crisis. So our choices, we limit our choices to kind of what's immediately in front of us and what we know. This is the saber-toothed tiger history.
Yep.
We go to what's most familiar. So in mediation, we can kind of help people quell that reptile brain and think about, well, what do you really want? Well, I want to be able to help my kid with homework. I don't want to only be there on the weekends for them.
Yeah.
You know, or I also want to be able to enjoy some time with my child. And or I can't live off the child support that would be provided if we go by the guidelines. Well, we're not having a conversation. You know, then you find out you're not really having a conversation about finances. It's really just about parenting. And in mediation, you can separate those two. In the court, you can't always separate those two. You can be really creative. When you work out of court, you can be very creative and come up with something that's going to work for your family.
Oh, because there's different things, not statistics. There's different things going on where the parent is a day worker and the other one is a night worker. There's different logistics of where they're located and all kinds of stuff like that. So you can really get creative.
Oh, yeah, and people don't have to have child support tied to how much they're parenting the children. We have to work within the guidelines still. We still have to work within the law, but people can actually create resolutions. You're talking about parenting agreements, the schedule that they want.
Holidays.
They can be holidays. That, you know, I have a lot of families in mediation that I work with who continue to share a house. I mean, they can work together. They don't want to be married anymore, but logistically, they can't leave the house, and so they figure out how to make that work. Yet, or sometimes ever, until the kids get older, or they figure out all sorts of creative ways to handle, or parents who share holidays still. Things that the court could never order you to do, but you can decide to do for yourselves because it's the right thing for your family.
So in litigation, in the courtroom, you have no choice to what the judge decides for that kind of stuff?
If you leave it in the hands of the judge makes a decision for you. Now, most people who go into court, even in the most nasty of litigations, very few actually go to a final trial where a judge is making decisions about everything. I mean, a very, very small percentage.
So they usually come to an agreement
eventually. Exactly. So almost 95, the statistics are somewhere between 95 and 97% eventually come to an agreement anyway. It's just you might spend 2 years and tens of thousands of dollars to get there, and you're going to come up with the same resolution that you could, or something similar, spending,
a lot less.
A tiny, tiny fraction of that, and so much emotional currency. I mean, that's what, it's just, it's not easy in mediation, but it's not like that kind of constancy of litigation of the courtroom work.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you'll stay with us. We got to go to another break. My guest is Amy Martell, and she is with Whole Family Law and Mediation, and you can go to wholefamilylaw.com. I hope you'll stay with us. I'm Nicole Perry, your host. You're listening to Powerful Women Revealed right here on 95.9 WATD.
Searching for, they don't matter anymore.
You are listening to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry. We're having fun over here dancing to the music. It's a nice balance because we're talking about a heavy subject and the music is lightening it up a little bit, maybe. I'm hoping.
Well chosen. Very, very well chosen.
So now, why are you so passionate about helping? Because you're in the business, you've been in it for several years, you're sticking with it, you love it.
Yeah. I do.
Why are you so passionate about helping couples?
Well, I think it's like any person who works in a profession where they get to see the ripples go out. You know, I always want to do something that's going to change the world, and sometimes those things that you do to change the world are tiny, but they have big, big, big implications. And I care about families. I care about kids. This work has helped me in my own marriage. I mean,
I know.
So,
you can pull from things. You can vice versa, right?
Yeah. So I love helping people hear each other and have the conversations that they need to have. It's exciting and interesting and good work.
Okay, now let's talk about vocabulary. How important is vocabulary? How does the vocabulary change during the whole process?
Well, it's interesting, you know, and so
because they probably start to use your vocabulary a lot more as the process goes on, right?
I would love that. I've had clients who actually come in to see me to stay married, and those clients, so they actually use the mediation process either as a complement to the therapy work that they're doing, or you know, and so I'm helping them do discrete stuff, and those guys I get to coach a lot and think about how you say something, and the way that you say something is so important. The way that I say something is critical, and I mess up all the time. You know, sometimes I say something. Human. We all are, you know, and then a client will say, well, that's not exactly what I meant. So you're always checking in, but but how we phrase something and how we show that we've heard what another person is said to us is really important. And I'm hoping at some point in time I get to write a book about how you say something. I have a colleague actually who has a great book that's in the works called How Do You Say That? And so we talk about it a lot as mediators.
Oh, nice.
But I coach my clients a lot. I think if you said it this way, or I role play, I'll go to the other side of the room and I'll say, I'm going to pretend to be you, and I'm going to say that in a different way.
Really?
Oh yeah, I do bring in a lot of the psychodrama from my background as a therapist into the work as a mediator.
Well, that's great. So there's your talent.
It's weaving in, right? Exactly.
Creeping in from the past.
Yeah.
Now, who is your ideal client, or when is the best time to seek advice? Because you just said sometimes clients will come in and they realize halfway through the process that, after all, you know, we're changing our vocabulary. I think we don't want to get a divorce. Does that happen?
I've had it happen with a lot of clients, and more recently. It's very funny. I'll check in with them and say, I haven't heard from you in a long time. Oh, we're not getting divorced anymore. It's great. So so those are my not that because I've had some people who are getting divorced and it really is the right choice for their family, and they need to make that transition. And so if they're going to make it, they're going to do it in a way that's meaningful. But yes, I do have people who change course midway. I don't have necessarily an ideal client like I want this, you know, demographics. If people have a clear interest in working together and coming up with an option that's going to work for both of them, working efficiently, and that's my ideal client ultimately.
Well, and frankly, before they go seek a regular courtroom type lawyer, they really want to come seek you out and at least have a consultation?
At least have a conversation with me and understand what the implications might be if they went a traditional route. Now, I always like my clients, if they can, in the divorce cases, to have the advice of counsel, because they're making an important legal decision, and I can't advise them, so they need to have that information. So I always am comfortable and actually appreciate when people are working with an attorney. But certainly to come in and see me, understand what all of their options are, because sometimes if they haven't come in to see me, they go in to see a lawyer, because that's what they're thinking they have to do when they start having this idea. They go in, they see a lawyer, the lawyer says, okay, well, this is what you do. And they start taking them down the process, and then boom, 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 they're on this train and it's running away, and they didn't know that there was any other track that they could have gone down. So certainly calling up someone, you know, calling up a mediator, somebody who practices in a holistic way at the beginning of your process so that you can understand all the different decisions.
Okay, and what great books do you offer? Some great books.
Oh
to
my
your
God,
clients?
I have.
You must have lists among lists among lists.
Do. It's on my website. I've got a great list of resources. So one of my favorite books. Yeah. So on my website, wholefamilylaw.com, in the client resource area, there's a list of books.
Oh, great.
And I'm in the process. It's not up yet, but I've got a beautiful new website that's coming out sometime in the next month. It's going to have an amazing resource section.
Your website looks great now.
Oh,
are you sure this is not not the new website I'm looking at?
Not the new website. This new website is gorgeous. I love my designer. She's wonderful. So
Okay.
And it's gonna feel a little bit more. It's just gonna feel a little more modern. It's gonna work a little bit better. The resource section for clients is gonna be updated. And so my favorite book for people in general, thinking about how do you think about peacefulness, is called The Anatomy of Peace. I think everybody in the whole
Anatomy
world
of
should read
Peace.
this book. I think
Okay.
it will change. It changed my life. I think it changes people's lives. The Anatomy of Peace. It's written by an organization. It's written. The actual author's name is not on the book, but the Arbinger Institute.
Okay.
Their information. It's just how you frame what conflict is. I mean, there's also Getting to Yes, which is a classic book. But The Anatomy of Peace, I think, gets down to the heart of what is conflict, why are we in conflict, and how can we resolve conflict. Amazing book. For people going through divorce who have children.
And what is the other one? Getting to Yes?
Oh, Getting to Yes is a classic book for mediators, anybody in conflict resolution. It's all about how do you focus on interests rather than positions. But the one I always want to say for people who have kids, there's a great book called Joint Custody with a Jerk. Very, very, inflammatory title, but it's kind of it's almost Buddhist in a little way. It's very rooted in a mindfulness perspective. It gives great strategies for people when you just want to strangle your spouse.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it's important to have compassion.
It's always
No matter
key.
what.
Yeah.
No matter what,
Yeah.
right? I read
Yeah.
that all over your website, all
Yeah.
about compassion.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time.
I can't believe that. That
I
went so
know.
fast.
This is crazy. I want to thank you for being here today. My guest is Amy Martell. It's whole family law and mediation, and you can go to wholefamilylaw.com for all the information about Amy and reaching her. I hope you'll tune in next week after the news at noon. Have a great week. I'm Nicole Perry, and until next time, Powerful Women Revealed, knowledge is power. I want to thank you so much for watching Powerful Women Revealed. Every powerful woman who has discovered her life purpose deserves to be heard. And my mission is to connect these powerful women to you in a fun, entertaining, and educational way. I am so proud to support Amy's mission and desire to help families facilitate meaningful and honorable solutions that are realistic in today's modern family. I love that Amy helps couples come to resolutions by collaborating in a way that is respectful of the children or other family members that are involved. What Amy brings to our community is extremely noble. At Powerful Women Revealed, we are strengthening who we are together, empowering women of all ages to follow their dreams, and we are bringing a spark of inspiration to the career women of our future. I am so proud to promote women in business such as Amy. I hope you will tune in next time, and until then, I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and I want to thank you for supporting Powerful Women Revealed.